trying to be influencers. We need electricians.
So this TikTok is actually a perfect example of why capitalism is so bad when it comes to the jobs market.
So I went to school to become an electrician. It took me 2 years, so I have 2,000 hours under my belt of experience. And I was applying for jobs for a while, being told that I was going to get a job immediately, pretty much. They'll hire anyone who knows how to swing a hammer. They'll hire anyone who doesn't even know how to use a screwdriver. Only to be met with, oh, you need 3,000 hours of experience in order to get this job. Or the majority of companies just not getting back to me at all, with job listings like, we need electricians, we need people to be here. So after about 3 months of waiting and trying to get a job, I moved into video games instead. And I got a job immediately. The only requirements were a high school diploma, and that was it. And I'm not the only one that this happened to. I know plenty of people that I went to school with that did not get a job for a long time. And yeah, maybe if I took a month more, I would have gotten a job, but I just didn't want to wait that long. So anyways, be mad at the companies. Don't be mad at us.
So this TikTok by Always Awful points out something that a lot of people might not realize, and it's the very simple fact that companies always demand more experience than is really reasonable to expect when they're hiring new people. And the reason for that is actually really simple, because the most profitable employees to hire are the ones who have tons of experience that already know everything about what they're doing. The problem is, not everybody is going to have all of the years of experience just because, people age and grow out of their jobs and end up retiring, and new people become newly educated and then have to enter the job market. And this is true in the trades just like any other industry, except for because we live under a capitalist system, instead of companies being allowed to have this long-term plan that could potentially be beneficial for society as a whole so that we always have enough electricians or plumbers or what have you, instead of having a sort of long-term plan, these companies are all forced to compete with each other in the short term in the market, which means they're always going to be trying to maximize their short-term profit, which means instead of taking the time to train in new employees, they want to find people who are already incredibly experienced in the field. This can lead to a major problem that exists in pretty much every industry across the country, where as these companies are trying to compete against each other, they are basically leaving regular workers completely behind, at least when it comes to onboarding new people and training them in. And so you get these problems where in a lot of areas across the country and in a lot of fields, you have this problem where companies just don't want to take in new people. And this is really a problem that is fairly unique to capitalism, because under a socialist system, you can actually plan out long-term career development and things like that. When you have a state-planned economy, it's one of those things that you're just yeah, a certain amount of people are going to retire, we need to fill in a certain amount of positions, and we're going to take the extra time to train people in and stuff like that, because we want to make sure that there's enough people to provide for all of these basic needs. But companies don't exist in the realm of providing for basic needs. Companies exist in the realm of making a profit. If a company could do literally nothing and make a profit, it would. That is the entire nature of capitalism. Even feudalism didn't have this problem, because at least under feudalism, if you were in a particular trade, you would take on an apprentice. And there was a whole system of apprenticeship leading to eventual mastery and things like that, where things were sort of more rooted in tradition and community connectedness. But then all of that sort of culture, tradition, and community is completely thrown out the window, and instead you just have nothing but the pursuit of profit at all costs, which is what fundamentally leads to this problem. So, the issue that we're dealing with right now is a simple fact that regular workers, specifically young people who are going into college, and even people who've already graduated and have been in the workplace for a long time, are actively making their decisions based off of the market incentives that are created by capitalism. Except for, instead of trying to acknowledge the flaws that exist within capitalism and the anarchy of the market that Marx might call it, large companies like to blame their failures on regular individual workers. They say nobody wants to work anymore instead of paying higher wages. They say there aren't enough electricians instead of training new electricians. These are the types of problems that only exist when you live in a system that exists purely for profit in an individualized way, where each individual company is competing against each other in order to serve a particular market, as opposed to various institutions looking to serve particular societal needs. So if you ever find yourself or anybody else angry that there's not enough electricians or plumbers in the world, don't really blame the young people that aren't jumping into those fields. Blame the capitalists that are making it more difficult to get into those fields. And blame the system that allows fundamental needs of society to be dictated and governed by the interests of people whose only goal is to make a profit.